writes 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's the handwritten letters from her. It's the sleepless nights alone. Newborn baby you left at your wife. It's the red, white, and blue leads on his life. It's the red, white, and blue. While these stars in the stripe. From the hills of Indiana, from the swamps of Louisiana, to the golden coast of California. Mr. Red, White, and Blue leads on his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, while these stars in the stripes.
Battle on the home front. Thank you all for tuning into the show. Colt Floyd, good friend of mine now. We're going to be great friends. He just doesn't know it yet. Amazing story about his time in Afghanistan and from then to now where he's at. And he definitely went through some hard times and he's doing amazing things in the court system. Y'all stick around for a great show. Battle on the home front. Another show, another week. We're gonna keep banging them out. I'm here with my buddy Colt Floyd. Man, how are you, brother?
Doing good this morning. How about yourself?
Good, man. We're doing this show via Zoom. This is the first one we've done, but to be able to reach badass people like Colt, we're gonna get all across the country and do them via Zoom. So yeah, man, let's dig right. You got an impressive bio. I'm absolutely honored to have you on the show, and definitely I look forward to our friendship after this show and what we can do for the veteran community. Please give us a little backstory, time in service, and we're gonna start getting into it.
Yeah. So as you said, my name's Colt Floyd, and my service started in 2003. Enlisted in April 2003. I went to Fort Benning, Georgia for boot camp.
Yeah.
And did the 11 Bravo thing, and then so I served in the Oklahoma National Guard for 12 years. Worked for recruiting for a little bit. Did some a lot of the ADSW work, part-time work, and then have a full-time job. As most know, with the Guard realm, you're 1 week in and out of the month, 2 weeks out of the year, and then you deploy. When we're in wartime, just like anybody else, and really proud of my service. Really enjoyed my service time in the Oklahoma Guard. My grandfather served 36 years in the Oklahoma Guard.
Wow.
Retired as a full colonel, and very proud of that. And so deployed in 06, 07, first time to Kabul, Afghanistan. Was a Sec 4 mission, and really pretty uneventful for the most part. And then came home from that, worked full-time as an instructor trainer for the Guard. We traveled the United States, training other Guard units. We went to Minnesota, Washington, Hawaii, all over the place, and really enjoyed that. We taught combatives. We taught, basic soldiering skills. A lot of fun. Got to see a lot of things and meet a lot of really neat people, and people that you chewed on the same dirt with and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to 2011, 2012, our brigade in Oklahoma got orders to deploy again to Afghanistan, and it was we were going to have Sec 4 presence as well as support. And my unit, I was in Alpha Company first, with the 179th out of Edmond at the time, and at the time we cohabitated with Charlie Company. A good friend of mine, Eli Davis, was staff sergeant over in Charlie Company, and we deployed to real similar battle spaces. I'm pretty sure we chased the same Taliban over the pass back and forth, and but we were at Cotton Jill showed up in June, so we showed up right in the middle of fighting season. Did a left seat, right seat with the Minnesota National Guard, the Red Bulls, and had a really good left seat, right seat. And as soon as those guys left, it everything kind of got kind of got real. You got the full infantry experience. We were doing disruption operations, so that was patrolling. Probably had 80 bodies at Cotton Jill full strength. We had a really nice OP that overlooked Cotton Jill. You'd spend a week up there at a time, and then whoever wasn't on the Death Star is what we called it. You were down patrolling. You were doing dismounted patrols, mounted patrols, and it was as soon as those guys left and we started kind of getting settled in, things kind of got real, and I don't know, it was 3 or 4 days we were in our first ticks, and it was usually 3 or 4 times a week, and that would look like IEDs, small arms stuff. But we were definitely moving and shaking. We were staying busy. We were engaging the locals, and man, I got the best part of that for me was the brotherhood, and the guys that I got to serve alongside, and hard chargers, hard chargers, fighters, and you hear people tell us all the time that thank you for your service, and I'm always grateful to hear that, But you and I both know that in the heat of the moment, it's all about that one to your left and your right, and man, I had some good ones.
Yeah, it's crazy that willingness. And John, I don't know if you're a Christian or not, but John 15:13 writes, "No greater gift than this than a man that'll lay down his life for his brother." And I truly believe that, especially when you're in that situation, it's like the most beautiful feeling that I can describe, and as you know as well. But please, they did a documentary on y'all, which I started to watch the promo, the trailer for it, and then I'm definitely getting it tonight to watch it. And it's all GoPros, so I love it's like first person. But please give us a little backstory and just fill us in on that.
Yeah, so a veteran that I served alongside was I was in 3rd platoon. He was in 2nd platoon. We both were at Cotton Jill together. His name's Aaron Harrell. He was an E5 at the time, and basically that's he's kind of the fellow that initiated everything and started the dialogue with some producers from out in California, David Salzberg and Christian Trudeau. They are Strong Eagle Media, and they also do ESPN Sports Science to kind of make you a little more familiar with them. And so it's basically that's where the dialogue started, and to be honest, early on, some of us really didn't want to relive some of that stuff, and it took a lot of prayer and reflection, and eventually we decided what better way to remember some of our brothers and sisters that didn't get to come back to the house, and trying to make something really neat and special for maybe their kiddos to see, and the end product I think did just that. And in talking with Aaron, he had us out to California to the ESPN Sports Science studio. We did some voiceover stuff and some certain situations in the movie that needed to be edited and such. But you're right, man. It's raw. It's all GoPro footage. We took thousands of hours, and we wanted to make sure that the end product was great. And Christian and David, neither of those guys served, and they have their hearts are totally pro the veteran community, and they're pros, and they have got a great staff. They made us feel at home when we went out there. That's the first time I've ever been to California. I'll be cool if it's the last time I ever go. But in any event, man, the video, the documentary come out great, and that kind of you got to meet some really neat people. I'll tell you a funny story. David had us out there, and Gary Clark Jr. did some music. Yeah, the song "Church" is in the movie. Joe Walsh from the Eagles. Wow. He's got the first song that kind of gets everything going, I think, for the Segal Valley mission. And so David had us to this NASCAR event out in Dover, Delaware, and it's what they call the Monster Mile. And it was a Citizen Soldier 400, and so they basically did a race to help promote the movie documentary, and all of us got to fly out there and do a lot of promo stuff, and that's the first time I heard about Joe. And David said, "Hey, you guys are going to get to meet Joe Walsh today," and I kind of shrugged it off, and I pulled David off to the side. I said, "Who's Joe Walsh?" And it didn't register at first. I felt really silly afterwards, but he said, Google it. And so I Googled it, of course, and then the rest is history. But we got to meet Joe out there in Delaware, and big time lover of his veterans, and that was a really neat experience. I got to wave the green flag at the race. We got to meet all the drivers, and really a neat deal, as they were trying to roll out this movie documentary. And we did we did a movie promotion at the theater there in Norman. I'm trying to think what it's called, but anyways, it went really good, and that's kind of the way everything kind of came to fruition. And it shows the good, bad, and the ugly, and it's very raw. It's kind of in your face. I always caution, those that might struggle with some of that stuff, to just be mindful once you dig into it. If you got to turn it off, turn it off. It's really humbling for me to watch it. Again, having experienced it. But I think, as you would probably agree, when we've experienced some loss on the battlefield, and we come home and we bring those struggles back to the house. In my experience, I've gotten better with the exposure. We go through therapy, like prolonged exposure and EMDR, and I've become more comfortable, in my journey, and because of that. And then you just got it takes breaking down some barriers and being uncomfortable to kind of get to that point.
Yep. Well, hey, man, I love it, dude. We're about to go to a quick commercial break. We're going to get into some more. I'm looking forward to it. Big shout out to my sponsors, Prater Roofing and Construction, Active Duty RX, Barrage Coffee. I'll see y'all in a second.
Introducing all new, safe, natural relief. A cannabinoid-rich, clarity and focus formula when it matters most. You've got a job to do. Anxiety isn't an option. Programmed to keep you moving. A product exclusively manufactured for Active Duty RX by Can-Tek Labs.
Battle on the home front. We're back. Colt Floyd. I hope you're drinking some Barrage coffee in that coffee cup, dude.
I am.
No, we gotta get you some. Don't be bullshit now. We gotta get you some. Hey, man, we were just talking about it, and so I love your story, man. So we were going with what in Afghanistan and a lot of the documentary, and what I seen on that trailer. Was it an L ambush that y'all got hit?
We were doing a valley clearing mission, and they inserted us at midnight via shit hooks, and we were a 37 person element. We were the decisive operation, so we were going to start from the top of this valley going down. And before the mission really even kicked off, and before we kicked out, lot of radio chatter. We could hear the Taliban talking. They were kind of setting up for our movement. And literally 30, 45 minutes into it, we were traversing up a goat trail, and they kicked it off with RPGs, with the textbook RPGs in the front and back to create chaos in the middle, and then RPK and AK.
Yeah, God. And you got hit. You took shrapnel and concussion, obviously.
We had 15 medevacs off that X that day, and the RPG in the back of the patrol hit my squad, and I had one of my men had a bicep cut in half. We had some guys knocked out, and then at that time the fight's still on, so you're still first thing is eliminating the threat, and then we can triage. And once the tick went to a lull, we started pushing guys up the hill to the CCP. And when I was getting my head count, that's when I realized I was missing Sergeant Prince, and so Jordan, Alex, and myself went back down the hill, kind of doing 5s and 25s, trying to figure out where he was at. And Jordan found him, and got vitals and such, and he was deceased. And then so at that time, it became recovering brother. And we started pushing bodies down the hill to get him up to the CCP, and had 9 lines going up, and a lot of Taliban chatter still. So you're looking for the follow-on attack. And, my job as a squad leader on the X was, to manage troops. And I had another staff sergeant up there with me, Smitty, and I had a wonderful PL, Tyler Brown. And I feel like that day, under the circumstances, man, everybody was operating at a very high level. And we had to do the medevacs to be a jungle penetrator, so it was one at a time. And we had one Afghan soldier that was shot through the leg, and then Prince was our KIA, and then I had several of those that had the TBI stuff, concussions, and a lot of shrapnel. So
rest in peace, Sergeant Prince.
The day in a nutshell. And,
God.
and there's no we called up for a medevac because obviously it was a mass CAS event. And because of the terrain we were on, it was class 3 or 4, probably at least 60 degrees, and you just couldn't get a bird in there. It wasn't reasonable. And our commander, battalion commander Colonel Harsha, said you guys are going to have to walk out. And so we walked out the same way we came in, and had Sergeant Zook was our QRF team at the time, and we were going to link up with them. And it was hot. Black on water, you know the deal, and a lot of injuries that still were within my outfit that didn't merit a medevac, but sure proud of everybody, and the way they performed that day.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know your platoon or anything like that, but my heart just hurts when I hear them stories, man. That's like the connection that we all have. Tar, brother.
And I feel the same thing, and I'm just like you. I became a lot more comfortable with crying and getting into feelers, because that's just the nature of the beast. And it's because just like the Bible verse you rattled off. I mean, there's nothing greater than your brother, and in our case your sisters, as well. And we lost 14 our first 90 days in the country.
That's crazy.
4 or 5 of those are very, very good friends of mine that I've served with in training atmospheres as well as deployments. And so it was real, it was real to me. And you always train to see how you're going to react in that one moment. And training did kick in. Mm-hmm. And it was, you get done with the day and you reflect and you're just like, man, what just happened? And then you think about the loss, and you're like, what am I going to tell his wife, and what am I going to? He's got a wife and 2 kiddos, and he's a police officer in Nanticoke, Oklahoma, but that is, we did volunteer, and that is what we signed up to do, and a lot of growth. Yeah, I had become a man real quick.
The weight of freedom is heavy, my brother. The weight of freedom is heavy.
Yes, sir.
So what was your transition like coming home? Obviously, I personally, I don't think there's any way that you can't go through an experience like that and not deal with some kind of mental health. And that's just the facts. What was your transition like coming back?
So I did a med board and was at Fort Sam Houston down at BAMC for 9 months. Was at the WTU down there, and getting therapy and such. And my med board lasted 2 years, and my transition was very rocky. And what that looked like was a lot of isolation, a lot of reclusing, a lot of drinking. My mentality was, definitely a fight mentality. If I wouldn't mind getting in a quarrel, I looked for them, I guess. Mm-hmm. Very reckless behavior, very toxic, and and then fast forward, resulted in some issues with having some run-ins with the law and DUI, and that's what landed me in the North Texas Regional Veterans Court. At the time, in Sherman, Texas, is where the arrest happened, and Sherman, Grayson County did not have a veterans court at that time. The dialogue had started, but it really wasn't settled in. And then I was at the VA in Bonham, Texas, going through their early late phase for alcohol, and then I did a 2-month PTSD cohort. So I was there at the VA for 5 months inpatient. And when I came out of that, this Veterans Court had kind of taken flight in Grayson County, and I was the first one to start Grayson County Veterans Court and the first one to graduate it.
Awesome.
And so that program was 2 years long. A lot of therapy, a lot of treatment, a lot of amazing people that put a lot of time and effort into me to build the tools I needed to reintegrate and be a productive member of society. And when I graduated the court also helped me to get employment, and that's what we do in the court now. And I worked for a little while, moved to Bonham, Texas, and that's where I met my lovely wife, and we. I was always still involved with the court from arm's distance. I'd show up every once in a while and mentor and tell them to get their heads out of their butts and dial it in and buy in. And then Judge Roach is the presiding judge over the North Texas Regional Veterans Court. He's a state judge out of the 296th district in Collin County in McKinney. And he's had the court, I guess since 2013 is how long it's been present. It's the Grayson County Court was not a part of his regional model in the beginning, and then he adopted it. And so he volunteers his time for 5 counties, and that happens every month. And then he decided he was going to hire a case manager, and he talked to me about it, and man, it just lit up my heart and such a blessing. He said he was going to interview some people, and then we'd look at it in a couple of weeks. And then he called me in after a couple of weeks. He said, "Man, I didn't interview nobody." He said, "You're my guy." And so I've been with the court now as a case manager for a little over 2 years, and I don't feel like I should even get paid for what I do because I love it that much. And we've got about 90 veterans on our caseload, and that's drug, alcohol offenses, some family violence. It's a beautiful thing, and it's a very necessary thing, and we got to get some more of those up there in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Big shout out to my sponsors. We'll be right back. Battle on the Homefront. We're back. We're just talking about the Veterans Court and the phenomenal stuff you're doing down there. And I definitely think it's so important. When I came home, like you're talking about just toxic, right? Like when I came home, I was angry. I was absolutely balls to the wall. I was a tri-poly drug addict. It ended up taking me down so many dark roads that it's unbelievable. And I think there's got to be some kind of break because we're toxic, right? Like we come out of a war zone and all we know is, and most of us is just cold, hard, mean. And you have to turn into that in a sense over there. You're in survival mode. We all know it's fight or flight, and most of us don't flight. We fight. And so you've completely lit a fire up inside me. And I was laying in bed after I was going through your bio and looking at Citizen Soldier trailer and you definitely lit a fire in me about how I can, because I myself got in some criminal trouble pretty severe because of my toxic behavior and stuff like that, and you lit a fire under me, and I want to find out what I can do in Oklahoma to be a part of the veteran court system here, and so I don't even know what direction I'm going with, but obviously if you can point me in the right direction and how even I can mentor and help veterans, I would love to know how to do that. I want to do that, and I will do that actually. So,
right on, man. I've got a buddy I served with, Ty Burns, is a U.S. rep, and I ran into him a little while back at a dove hunt up there in Oklahoma, and it was really neat. It was kind of random too. I hadn't seen a lot of those guys in a little while, and I just drove my butt up around Enid, I think, and got to see some guys I hadn't seen in a long time, and I kind of got in Ty's ear, and I said, "Man, I think thing I'm passionate about, and a lot of other folks are passionate about. And I said it's not going to get started. It starts with the dialogue, and I think what I would say to you is we would get in front of the right people, and Judge Roach is all about replication, and we are the largest regional veterans court in the United States, and he will be the first to tell you that he will not turn a veteran away, even if he's got to get more staff. But he'll also tell you that he would be happy to drive anywhere and talk to any person with regard to our veterans court model and what we're all about. And his heart is huge. I look at him as a father figure, and again, we've got close to 100 veterans on our caseload. Our recidivism rate's about 3%, so we don't get a lot of the comeback folks or comeback cases. And we're constantly evolving as a court with even aftercare. After you graduate our court, we still have mentor groups where you can still via Zoom or in person. Once we get all this COVID stuff, kind of hammered out, where you can still get in those veteran circles, the same faces that you saw in court, to continue your positive journey. And it's really a neat thing. And man, when a veteran goes a year and a half, and me as a case manager, I spend that year and a half with them, watching that growth and that individual evolution, and then they graduate. Man, that's where I get teary eyed, and I cry because I was there, and you've got another success story. So
there ain't nothing more beautiful than a comeback story that nobody was expecting, and I love seeing that. That is one of the most fulfilling things for me when I help people or mentor people in business or just in general with issues, because like you, we've been down hard roads, and we're not in that same spot anymore. And it's so important for our brothers and sisters to know that each one of you is a comeback story that everybody is waiting on. And I say that all the time. But why do you think? Why do you think that we're getting the 22 a day, and also, if you didn't know this, the 30 a day that die from pharmaceutical abuse of our brothers and sisters? What do you think the direction of that and the cause of that? I love to hear every veteran's different input on that, and what do you think that we can help do to combat it?
I think individuals like yourself are absolutely on the right path, and I can tell that you're passionate about it, but it does start with a conversation, and an uncomfortable conversation at that. And we've got a lot of folks that, veterans, you and I are probably the same way, very prideful, maybe not want to tap into some of those tough conversations, whether that be an addiction or, a battlefield experience or any, some family dynamics. It all starts with some conversation, and with regard to the 22 a day, that you and I both know that's plus or minus. And then you throw in, first responders and our law enforcement. It is an absolute tragedy, and it with regard to mental health, that's the issue at hand. And we need more resources. We need to keep pushing the resources out to our veterans community, and not just pushing them out, but make sure that they follow through. I can't tell you how many times that I would, maybe even when I was in my bad state, have somebody push something to me, and I just throw it in the trash or put it on the refrigerator or whatever. Because there are a lot of resources out there, and I do know that firsthand as a case manager for the court that folks do want to help. We use the Cohen Clinic down in Addison. It's all free, and anything whatever that modality looks like that individual may need, I get them plugged into that, and it just, it's for me, it's love, and showing that love, to our veteran community, and showing them that you care, and just engaging those folks, and getting in their ear, and just let them know that you care. Oklahoma's they've got to have a veterans court. I lived in Durant for a long time, and have talked to some of the individuals up there, the DA, and the veterans court is something I think is an absolute important piece of our veterans suicide. It's one of the building blocks.
Without a doubt. Yeah, I'm definitely needing you to mentor me in that, because now I'm like one of them guys, when I know something, like, I'm doing it, and I know that through my experience the Veterans Court, for me to be a part of that would be very powerful for me to help and give back to the community, to our veteran community. I love it, man. I love it.
And I'll tell you also, you know, we don't use a single dime from the taxpayer. We work off grants completely, and that's our staff salaries to include all of the treatment that we give to our men and women that served. And so basically, we apply for a grant, and our grants doubled in the last 2 or 3 years since I've been on there, and that's because Judge Roach, when he says he won't turn somebody away, he won't. And we've continued to grow as a court, and so Texas Veterans Commission funds, you know, everything that we do. We just started a 501c3 called Stay in the Fight that will assist with some of the other necessary pieces of our court. For instance, a homeless veteran that comes into the court and, you know, needs an extended stay for a little while, or we can pay a utility bill or something like that. Those funds are readily available for us to plug those in and, you know, give them a debit card or whatever, and make sure that the veteran's not doing without.
Yeah, we need to definitely facilitate something and talk, because I'm a board member now on Homeless Military Veterans. Kelly Hall, he's actually down there in Texas, and what I love about him, man, and the reason that I got with his nonprofit and Battle on the Homefront's going to do a joint collaboration. We were able to get over $20,000 worth of donations for the homeless down here in Oklahoma City, and man, I'd love to see how we could work in any way together. And man, I hate seeing veteran-based nonprofits be competitive. I know it's because it's a business, right? Either if it's an LLC or a nonprofit, it's a business. They got to make money, and they're competitive in that sense. But the fight's the fight, man. And I'd love to see us hook up, and he's down there. So if there's anything that us as homeless military veterans and Battle on the Homefront can help y'all with, I would love to talk to you about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I would say between the two of us, you know, we know enough folks to where we could, you know, engage a couple of county judges or whatever that may look like. And like I said, Judge Roach would be happy to travel. And we drive up to the city and sit down and have a chat and kind of tell you, you know, what pieces you need to get that rolling from a county standpoint, and see if we can make that happen.
Yeah. Judge Roach sounds like an absolute American patriot. You got to be proud to call him a mentor, because he sounds like a great one, man. You should be happy about that. So
he is. We also stood up a program called Valor. It's an in custody jail program. It's the only one in the state of Texas where it's an all veteran population. We also have a staff that gets them, you know, treatment while they're in those situations, and then if their case is appropriate, they can integrate from Valor straight into our Veterans Court. So a lot of good things happen. Love
it, man. I thank you so much. I don't know what's in that coffee cup, but I'm gonna mail you some Barrage coffee, because I know whatever you're drinking is not good because it's not Barrage. But I'm gonna get you some in the mail today. But please plug away, man. Plug anything you want to plug. And
no, just my main plug is North Texas Regional Veterans Court, and
awesome.
So grateful to do what I do. And if there's anybody out there that works in the legal field within your rural area or whatever that may be, I don't care how big or small the town is, we'd be happy to come, you know, and have that discussion and what that may look like to start up a Veterans Court.
I love it, man. Colt, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate you, man. I look forward to our friendship and what we can do in the future and working together. And everybody else watching Battle on the Homefront TV, I thank you all for your support, believing in us, helping us with our mission, raising veteran suicide and awareness, and also the pharmaceutical deaths in veterans. And now we're opening it up to the court system, and now Colt's done put a fire under me. So I'm ready to get involved with that as well. I'll see y'all next week.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's the handwritten letters from home. It's the sleepless nights alone. Newborn baby you left at your wife. It's the red, white, and blue. Lay down his life. It's the red, white, and blue. life.